Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Ammar, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we are absolutely thrilled to be joined by Gina DiStefano, the president of the DiStefano Group, a performance coaching and talent development firm that empowers individuals and teams to elevate their performance and align purpose with measurable outcomes. With a background that spans sales leadership, executive coaching, and transformative facilitation, Gina has built a reputation for helping professionals unlock peak potential across industries. Gina, welcome to Founders Future.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
I'm excited to dive in. I always like to start from the beginning. So take us on a little trip down memory lane to before you started the DiStefano Group.
Okay.
What were you doing at the time? And then what was really the motivation behind starting your company?
So at the time, I was working for a Fortune 500 company.
Okay.
This was the early 2000s. At a time, I was working remote. So it was at a time when remote really wasn't remote. And little did I know that everything that was happening was just getting me ready for what was to come. And we'll get into that. But I was working for this company. It was remote. I was loving life. I was learning so much, but the writing was on the wall because they were selling to franchisees, and every year there were cuts. And my boss was very open and transparent with me. And she said, listen, there are two ways to skin this cat. You can stay in the game. And if you want to stay around, you're going to probably have to move to Irvine, California, where we were headquartered, Dallas, and do all this, or your time is probably going to come to an end. And I knew I didn't want to play that game. I didn't want to be in corporate like that. So I had to figure out what was I going to do. Now, I was remote. I had a very nice salary. I was a mom, so I had this flexibility. What am I going to do? I was a little scared. So I tossed around going back to school to get my PhD in psychology. I have a bachelor's in psychology, and I would maybe be a therapist, but that wasn't hitting right. And so then my next thought was, what if I start my own business? My father was an entrepreneur, so I did have some background in that lifestyle, but I was in my very early 30s, clueless to how to do it. My father had passed about 5 years prior, so he was no longer around to guide me. So I took it upon myself to hire a business coach and start on this path. And I started a very small little one-man show coaching, and it grew and grew from there.
That is awesome. Good for you. That's a powerful story. So let's give the listeners more context to today. What
Okay.
does the Stefano Group look like at the moment in terms of who is your ideal customer? Who do you love to work with? And then what are the different offers and services that you provide?
My company has had such a massive evolution because I have. And for what I do, you can't do it well unless you do the work on yourself. I can't get out every day and push and coach my systems if I'm not following them. And what I've found now, my sweet spot, Gen Xers, the Gen
Okay.
Xers, because we are in this time where I'm learning as I grow that the things we were taught, the systems, they don't work. They're broken.
Mm,
And here we are waking up in our 40s and our 50s and our 60s going, what happened to my life? How did I get here? And
wow.
it doesn't look bad on paper. You got money in the bank, right? You got the house, the kids, the job, the title. Why am I miserable? Why am I exhausted? Why am I burnt out? Why don't I know who I am? Everything looks great on paper. And it's because there was a lot we weren't taught along the way that I know now, and I had to learn the hard way that I'm ready to teach and apply to not only business owners and leaders, but people that are just on a path to their own personal development.
So it's not just owners or leaders, it's also anybody is in that category that
Mhm.
wants to find the 2.0 version of themselves. Would you say that's
Hun-
accurate?
100%. And the system I created, a proprietary system that I actually created years ago. This is the funny thing about life. If you stay in the game long enough, it makes sense. It's not going to make sense when you're doing it. If any entrepreneur will know, every day you wake up and what am I doing? And you question it. But the longer you're in the game, the more it makes sense and the more you're willing to stay in the game.
Yeah.
And I found that I created this years ago. And I'm like, oh, and I wasn't even putting that much attention to it. It was just something I did. It was something like subconsciously I was doing with myself and with my clients. And then after the last few years, and as we know with the pandemic and life changes, and I had so much personal change, that kind of took a back seat. And when I
Mm.
jumped back into the game a couple of years ago, and I'm a very spiritual person, I'm a big believer in God, and everything happens exactly as it should. I sat back and I was like, okay, God, like I see what you did, what you're doing here. And that gave
Mm.
me even more adrenaline to keep on this path with this system and doing what I'm doing. And it's evolving in a way that I could have never even imagined.
I love that so much. So for the people that are resonating with your energy, with what you're saying right now, what does it look like to work with you? What is the core offering? And let's dive into a little bit of the deliverables and what that looks like on the back end.
Sure. If you were to ask me that question 5 years ago, I would have given you a completely different answer. And I'm
Mm.
going to be honest, to work with me, it's not easy. Coaching really is not for the weak. It's for someone who has reached a point where they're tired of their own crap.
Yeah.
They're recognizing their own patterns, or maybe they're not. Again, that's what you're going to uncover when you work with me. You're going to see parts of yourself you don't want to see. You're
Mm.
going to see the people in your life that should not be there. And if you really want to go from that point of awareness, something's off, I don't know, to execution, which is changing your life, then you're going to have to make some very dramatic changes. And a lot of people don't want to do that, right? They want to hire coaches or go to therapy for validation. I'm not going to validate you. I'm not going to give you a trophy for showing up. I am going to demand that you're going to do the work and then you are going to reap the benefits. And I would
Mm.
be lying to say, oh, it's going to be great. It's going to be easy. No. Is it going to be transformational? Absolutely. Are you going to look back at your life a month, 6 months, a year from working with me and say, I'm a completely different person? Absolutely. Within the first few sessions,
Yeah.
people are immediately looking at themselves differently.
Yeah. I love that. So is it like a typical 3 month, 6 month, 12-month engagement, one-on-one group coaching,
So
coursework? Walk me through that.
So I have structured, I have a 3, 6, 9 month program. On top of that, I can do customized workshops for larger organizations.
Yeah.
But I no longer, this is again, as you grow as a coach, as an owner, and you start to tweak things. In the past, when I was hungry, right, and I just wanted to work with everyone, I said yes all the time. I would constantly acclimate to other people. And that
Mm.
was great because that's how you get your experience. And I had to do that. And now I'm at a point where I don't have to do that. And I understand what works best for me with my clients. You got to do at least 3 months right off the bat. We have to see first, are we going to work well together? Who are you? Who am I?
Yeah.
And that's the first step. And it's the system, the revitalized system that I train on. So the first 3 months, it's like an introductory. You're going to get a baseline view of how to use this system. You want to continue on after those?
Vitalized system, right?
Yes, the revitalized system.
Got it.
So after that 3 months, now you're going to most likely, and people move on to the 6 months. Now we're getting even deeper into it. And now we're actually starting to bring in your life. You're going to start to see the changes, to feel the changes. You're going to be looking at the world differently. You're going to be looking at yourself differently. You're going to be seeing your patterns, your behaviors. You're going to start assessing everyone in your life. You're taking inventory. I teach people how to take inventory on their life. I teach people what it means to be intentional with your
Mm.
day, with every moment. And then people are going to stay on for 9 months because now, okay, I'm in it. Now we can start to really utilize this. What do you want to change? You're starting to see that execution. After
Yeah.
that, we can go weekly, monthly, kind of spot work. Because again, if you're a good coach, I don't want you to hang out with me for 2, 3, 5. I want to give you the foundation. And then I want you to be able to run with your team, run with your company. I
Yeah.
don't want to be that consultant that's taking a big chunk of money from you every month and you're stagnant. I
Yeah.
need to let my kids go. Isn't that like you're a good parent, you're a good coach, you send them out into the
100%.
world? I'm always going to be there for you. Always. You got a problem, call me up. We'll attack it. But I want to give you a foundation
Yeah.
within 9 months that you don't need me every week. You
I
don't
love
maybe don't need me every month.
Yeah. I think that's powerful. And I think 3 months is the minimum. Like you can do a lot in 90 days. I've seen people change their entire physiques in 90 days.
100%.
It's crazy. Now, we have a lot of coaches that listen to this, consultants as well, agency owners as well. But I'm super curious if we shift to the back end of the business, when it comes to acquiring more clients and bringing in more leads to your coaching business, what does that process look like right now?
My process might not look like other people's process because I am a big believer in universal laws, law of attraction, law of momentum, law of cause and effect. A lot of people will say you got to get into this system and you got to be posting every day. And it's very transactional and it's about
Mm,
going to the masses. I'm about laser focusing and on intentionality. I'm
mm,
about being aware of what you want, looking around at your resources that you already have. And this is what happens to a lot of people.
yeah,
They forget all the things that they've done because they're only focusing on all the things they want to accomplish and they haven't. But when you sit down and I go over your career, again, I'm targeting Gen Xers. So we got a few years
yeah,
under our belt. We've got some experiences. And I go, remember, and I
yeah,
start to pull out all of the amazing things you've done that you forgot about, right? And then we go from there. And it's about
yeah.
who you're going to contact. What are you
Mm,
going to say? I teach you how to articulate so that now you are so aware of who you are and what you want that it's about quality in your interactions. And from there, I always have believed in the power of one. It takes one person, it takes one client. And the way I've built my business over the last 5 years is from that. And then you get referrals. And that is the way, in my opinion, that is a long lasting business or career. It's about the relationships you build, how you utilize that, and how you ask. It's
mm,
about asking for what you want. And I equip people with the confidence to do that. That's another reason why people want to hide behind social media or the posting and everything. They don't have the confidence to call someone, to knock on a door. And when I started my business 15 years ago, social media wasn't what it is now. I did it the old fashioned way. I went to Staples, I got a business card, I joined networking groups, I had
yeah,
coffee, a door
yeah,
knocking. I didn't have a website. I wasn't on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, none of that. I was the old fashioned way where I sat you down, we had coffee, we developed a relationship.
yeah.
And those are the relationships that will matter. And those are the people that will continue to talk about you. And that's how I grow my business and how I teach my clients to grow theirs.
Got it. So it sounds like a lot of it is relationships, networking, referrals. And I'm a big believer in the law of attraction. I'm a big believer in the energy that you put out into the universe, you get back in return. I actually just did a 3-hour podcast with a good buddy of mine, breaking down how I believe the world works. You got the mental, spiritual, and physical plane. And when you have alignment on all three planes of existence, then the gap between you and your desired reality tends to shrink. Now,
Yeah.
I'm super curious your perspective on this. I had an individual earlier this week, and he was telling me the majority of his business comes from referrals and word of mouth. And but he also expressed frustrations to me where he's like, it's just not predictable, it's not consistent. And that's what he was experiencing with that. I'm curious for you, what has been your experience so far when it comes to bringing in more clients that way, if it's predictable, and if there's any plans of shifting into other strategies in the future?
That is all valid and absolutely. I'd be lying if I said, no, I have this magic wand and I just know it's going to work. No, what happens though is like anything, your brain's a muscle, right? So whatever you keep feeding it is what's going to happen. So along the lines of that, when you're in that fear of what if I lose the clients? What if they don't keep coming in? You got to go back to those limiting beliefs. But
Mm,
then as it builds and you get more confident, then start expanding on that because you already have your core of people. Now maybe our vision gets a little bit bigger. Now, what if I start a podcast? What if I have some kind of materials, passive income, write a book? We got to
mm,
start growing multiple
yeah.
channels because if I only want to rely on that client, the clients go away. What do I have? And that's when entrepreneurs and I have found too. And I'm a mom of two boys, 13 and almost 18. So I'm preparing my sons for the future. And like I said originally, I was lied to. Gen Xers, we were told you go to do this, and you're going to live this great life.
Yeah.
No.
White picket fence, all retirement.
Oh, yeah. And we were judged. If you didn't go to college, you were a loser. You're a loser. Oh, they're not going to college. Let me tell you about some of the losers that didn't go to college that I know now. They are multi-millionaires. They are business owners and leaders because college wasn't for them. They had the ability to say, all right, this is one means, this is one area. But to take a kid at 18 years old and say, you got to pick now and you got to decide. And a lot of times you got to get yourself into quite a bit of debt. That is asinine to me. So it's about learning young. Go explore the world. Go do a million different things. It doesn't matter what it looks like. It matters what it feels like to you. And if that means you're working 3 jobs, but you love those 3 jobs and you love all the people and you're excited to go to work, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'd rather that than that one job with the fancy title where everyone thinks that I'm killing it and I'm absolutely miserable and I'm dead inside. So it's
Yeah.
about building off of something to create multiple streams of income in all different ways and living a very fulfilling life.
I love that. I love that so much. When you think of your vision and you think about where you want to take your business, let's say over the next 12 to 24 months, are there any specific revenue targets, performance targets, or just goals in general? Paint me that picture.
I love this question because I always say money is a side effect, but I would be lying too if I didn't have financial goals. Once you have experienced a 20, 30, $40,000 a month, which I have, it wets your palate a little bit. But it's about, again, sustaining something that I'm always excited about. And when that happens, your money might ebb and flow. And it's about getting comfortable with that. Money is a side effect of your passion. What I would like to see my business grow to is bringing on more consultants like myself. And that is actually the model of my business now. When I work with
Mm,
other consultants, they are all running their own businesses. And when I
yeah.
go and take on a project, if I can't give it 150%, I want to I want to give that to someone else. If I'm
Mm,
doing something and I'm like, that's really not my wheelhouse, but she does it extremely well, then I will just, I'm missing the word. Why I'm at a loss for the word. What is it called? I say it all the time and now I'm drawing a blank. When you give it out to someone else, you
delegate?
not delegate. I'm
Pass it
drawing a
off?
blank. That's why I work with consultants. I'll say, this is a project that you're going to be better at. So I hand it to them so that I know that everyone is getting the best of everything. And that's what I've always believed too, because I want to build other business owners up. I believe
Mm,
there's enough abundance for everyone, especially today with technology. Everyone should be their own boss. Everyone should have some kind of side gig, even if it's not their main means of income. I want to teach people that it's possible, that if you have a phone, you can do anything and you can make money. You do not have to go to college. You do not have to be in this employee mindset. You don't have to do what the masses told you to do. That's what I want to be known for. And I want to teach people the systems that they can incorporate and teach others and carry it on, creating more abundance for people and living really fulfilling lives.
I love everything you're talking about. You're speaking my language. I love this stuff. When you think about that vision, what do you feel like is the biggest challenge to making that happen that you're facing right now?
Probably my own limiting beliefs. Everything's possible. It's me. It's the story I'm telling myself. Anything is possible. It's true. You become what you tell yourself. That's it. And that kind of work, it's work. When people say, I did this for so many years, I was like, what is the work? What is the work? And then again, like I said, I practice what I preach. I had to take a step back about 2 years ago from my business due to all the personal stuff that I was going through. I was having dark night of the souls. I was having spiritual awakenings after spiritual awakening. It was like God grabbed me 2 years ago and was like, are you really ready to do what I want you to do, what I put you here to do? And I believe that God trains you, He prepares you. It's not punishment. When you get over that and you realize what's happening, that's when all the power floods you. You can create your own reality based on what you tell yourself. And if you have trauma from your past, from your childhood, from adolescence, from divorces, from heartbreaks, from loss, which we all do, every human being has it. That's our programming. Those are your subconscious beliefs. So you got to learn how to tap into that subconscious, reprogram it, and step back into the world. That's the work. And that's the
Mm,
work that's not mainstream. People aren't talking about it. We're making it mainstream. You and I right now, we're working to make that mainstream, to be like, we actually have a lot more power than we've been told. And we're not being taught how to do that. I want to teach how to do that because I learned it. I was trained in this. God trained me. Now I want to teach it.
one of my favorite quotes ever, and I felt this from you, is you can't really move people unless you're moved yourself. And
Oh,
yeah, and the way that you're speaking, the passion that I see in your eyes, I'm like, this girl is moved. And you're giving me goosebumps. What, I have a couple more questions, but really quick, do you have a hard stop?
no.
Okay, thank God.
I
But
always block plenty of time for these because rarely does
yeah,
anyone stick to a time schedule, and I get that.
I know it's tough. So you mentioned limiting beliefs. I'm curious, let's say you have somebody when you're younger, or at least this is what I've heard. This could be my own limiting belief. I've heard that
Mhm.
when you're younger, it's easier to retrain beliefs. When you're past a certain age, it's more hardwired into your brain, into your physiology. So let's say somebody's older and they've just been living in a paradigm of fear for so long and for scarcity. They watch the news all the time. Everything is always gonna end tomorrow. It's always something happening where the world is gonna end. How do you go about reframing your belief system from taking a limiting belief and turning it into something that's an empowering belief, or a term that I recently heard, an omnipotent belief, a belief that you can take anywhere in life, and no matter what situation life throws at you, it will serve you one way or another. So, how do people reframe that and retrain that over time?
Awareness. It's the first step in my revitalized system.
Mm,
Awareness. You have to be aware of the negativity. And I can share this now because I've alchemized my past and the shame, things that I wouldn't speak about before. And I've kind of been a public figure. I've been on TV, I've been interviewed, I was all over social media, I was out and about, I was doing all these things. And I was realizing that I actually hadn't done the work. And
mm,
that's why I had to take a step back. Awareness. What do I mean by that? I wasn't even aware of how many negative limiting beliefs I had because I was so busy going into character to be what the world wanted me to be. And that's when God grabbed me, removed every piece of identity I thought I was. He took everything from me. He took my health, my home, my finances, my reputation. When I say he took it all, and now I know why he did that. Because on that path, I was on the wrong path because
mm,
I had buried so much. And then I had a short-lived success, right? Because when I didn't do the internal work and I put it all towards the external, yes, you will reach a certain point of success. And I'm going to get to the point of this. Just stay with me. So there I was doing great. I started this company and it was growing and I was making a lot of money. And I was like, I got this. Like I really thought, my ego thought that I had nailed it. And then 2020 hit, and we all know what happened from there. And that's when I learned what I had been suppressing, repressing. And then I hired a coach. Coaches have coaches. Let me tell you that. If you're in it to win it and you're a coach, you're working with other coaches because you know the work that needs to be done. So I hired this woman who God actually brought into my life prior to 2020. And we were like peers. And all of this was, I was watching her systems, I was watching her life, and it was about 2022 or 23. I said, I think I need to hire you. And she taught me what it means to figure out, though, to listen to yourself. And one of the exercises she had me do is every time you have a negative thought, write it down.
mm.
Walk around with a notebook in your hand, and every time you have a negative thought or feeling, write it down. Let me tell you something. I had to put the pen down because I also had to work and raise my children, and I couldn't be writing all day. I realized that there was so much negativity I wasn't even aware of. So, awareness, number one. Number two, now let's look at that. And now let's reverse it. And that's what you tell yourself. And this is the hard part because it is almost a state of delusion you have to get into, right? If I'm broke, if I don't know how I'm going to make my rent, the natural thought is, oh my God, what am I going to do? I'm such a failure. Why can't I never have enough money? I never have enough money. I work so hard and I never have enough money. And that's what we're saying to ourselves. And then from that, then you grab a drink, you're disassociating.
Yeah.
That's where most people go. What you have to do with that, the work is you go, oh, I always have more than I need. Money flows to me easily and effortlessly from unlikely places. I'm the luckiest girl in the world. I don't chase, I attract over and over and over and over again. And at first you feel like a weirdo because you're like, wait a minute, I'm fat, I'm broke, I don't have any friends yet. I'm sitting there going, I'm the luckiest girl in the world. Everybody wants to be me. That's what you got to do
Yeah.
over and over. Because what did it take to get you to the point of hating yourself, of having those negative beliefs? That's the trauma from your past, to your point. Why is it as we get older? Because we hear that, we believe it, we start to tell us that story. And before you know it, that's been your story for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. It's not going to be reversed overnight. Be aware of it and go, wow, I didn't even know I hated myself that much. I realized when I was doing the work, I actually didn't have self-worth. I've always had self-esteem, but there's a big difference between self-worth and self-esteem that I learned. Like I had to learn all this stuff. And I felt like such a fool. I felt like such an imposter. What was I doing? I didn't want to go back into my business. And then I said, okay, God, I see what you did there. You had to take me through it. So now when I show up as your coach, I can sit and I can look you dead in the eye and go, there's a good chance I know what you're feeling. I know what you've been through. Because when you've been through the trauma and the tragedy and the abuse that I have, and I've alchemized that and I do it every day, I do that work, that's when you really gain rapport with people and trust. And that's when you move people. You're not going to be moved by someone who has a fancy degree from an Ivy League who, in theory, can help you through that. You sit down with someone who's been through stuff, who's gone from nothing, who's self-made. Those are the people I want to work with. Those are the people I want to pay and invest my time and money in. And those are the people that I did along the way and changed my life.
Somebody who's actually walked the walk and not just read a couple
Always.
books and then is or parroting something that they heard
Mhm.
something else. Gina, that is so powerful. One of my favorite beliefs, and you alluded to this as you were talking there, is I am the luckiest person in the universe. Everything always works out for me.
Yep. Lucky
And
girl syndrome. Luckiest girl in the
it,
world. Everything's always working out in my favor.
100%.
Yeah.
And that to me, the way that that somebody explained this to me, he's like, the point is not to logically in your mind, I'm the luckiest person in the universe and compare yourself to others, but the point is to live in that energy space of
Hmm.
just amazing things happen to me. And I'll share a quick funny story with you. There's this app called Suno, suno.com, and it helps you make AI music. So I have a lot of documents in my Google Drive of the vision for my life, the beliefs that I want to install, the thoughts that I want to install. And I would take those documents, I would upload them into ChatGPT, and I would tell it, hey, create a song based off of this document.
I love that.
Yeah, and help. And the purpose of the song is to instill these beliefs into my subconscious mind. And then
Hmm.
I'll take, and so I'll tell ChatGPT to do this. Give me the lyrics, I'll edit it a little bit, then I'll upload it into Suno, and then it'll give me a song. And one of them is all about, I'm the luckiest person in the universe, everything always works out, it's a proven verse, money, rain, purpose. It's just awesome. It's awesome. So I recommend that people do that. I think you would love that too. But this has been a very, very powerful conversation. I have two more questions for you.
Okay.
If you are talking to new entrepreneurs that are looking to start a coaching business or a consulting business, what advice would you have for them? And then the second one is, what is the best way for people to reach out to you to work with you?
Okay. So if I were to be giving advice to young entrepreneurs or coaches or consultants, I think I would, and this kind of a cliche answer, but it's true. You got to know why. Why do you want to do this? What is your drive? What is your passion? Where is this coming from? I would want to know their story. And then if they have a passion, the side effect is success. The side effect is money. But if they're going into it because, oh, I just don't want to do this, I don't want to do that, it's very surface and superficial, it's probably not going to be long lasting. But I would want young people to know that they absolutely have someone. That's what I'm saying. I think every single human being on this earth, created by God, was meant to show their gift in one way or another. And that's why I love social media in a way of where it's going is you have everyday human beings picking up their phone in their 1999 Honda Civic that they're driving around or in their basements or no glamour. And it's just real lives. And people want to see that now. And we're seeing like you don't have to have a look or have money or have certifications or degrees. You are enough. You as you right now. So, what is it about you that you want to bring to life? What is it about you that you want to help people with? That's what I would want to give advice to. Figure out you first. Who are you and what do you want to bring to the world? And then I can help you monetize that. But it's doing the due diligence on yourself. And that's what I love when I work with people who sit there, I don't know what to do and done. I walk through and I go through the system. And then before you know it, they're like, wow, I am amazing. I didn't even realize I could do that. I'm like, I know, you can. It just took someone creating an environment that made you feel that way, that reminded you of who you are and what you're here to do outside of being an employee, being a husband, a father, a mother, a sister, a brother, all these labels. Like, who are you in your divineness? That's what I want to help you figure out. And then when you put your finger on that, anything you touch will turn to gold.
I love that. And what's the best way for people to reach out to you?
Best way, go through my website. DiStefanoGroup.com. You can catch me on social media. I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn, all those means. And I have systems that can get you right to my assistant, my team, or to me.
Awesome. I love that so much. So we'll make sure to put all of that stuff in the show notes. And Gina, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. This was awesome.
This was a lot of fun. So that wraps up another insightful episode of Founders Future. To our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to do two things. Check out the DiStefanoGroup.com and make sure to subscribe to Founders Future on your favorite platforms. And if you're a business owner and you're looking to scale your business and really enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to discover how we can support your growth journey. Until then, keep on climbing.